Since I have done some review on my hunting rifles, I want to mix it up a little bit and do a review on my handguns. I don't own a lot of handguns, but these are the 6 handguns that I own. Now the first one is Smith & Wesson in 357 Magnum. And I have Taurus Tracker in 357 Magnum. And I have a hand cannon. This is 460 Smith & Wesson Magnum. And I have CG75 in 9mm. And I have Ruger in 22. And I have Browning in 22. Now this looks a little odd because I used to have this scope on my tracker. Now the problem was it was just too bulky for me to carry it in the woods. So I switched it to Bushnell red dot. And so far it's holding up really well. Let's see. What do I pick? What do I pick? I don't know. I love them all. Okay, boys and girls, the suspense is killing me. My first choice is Tracker by Taurus, chambered in 357 Magnum, and you can also shoot 38 specials. As you can see, this model 627 is in stainless steel, and it weighs 40.8 ounces. That's 2.55 pounds, and overall length is 10 and 3/4 inches long, and it's double and single action. This tracker came with 6.5-inch barrel, and I really like the heavy look of the barrel, but I don't like this bold leather. That's kind of overdoing it. And it's got a ported barrel in the front to reduce the recoil, and it works pretty well. Only problem is you're gonna feel some powders coming at your face, so make sure you have eye protection. And it's got a really nice visible front sight, which is fixed, and it also has nice rear sight. It's very visible, and it's also adjustable. And you can't see it here, but as you see in the picture, it's got a nice ribbed rear on the top. That also looks pretty nice. This is the button to release your cylinder. And as you can see, this is a 7-shooter. And I really like the idea of having an extra round. And as you can see, this is quite smooth. As for the trigger pull, it's empty. Single action feels like about 4 pounds. Very nice, very crisp, no drag. And as for double action, it's got a nice hefty pull, feels like 9 to 10 pounds. Now compared to Smith & Wesson, which is also empty, single action feels like maybe about 3 pounds, maybe even less. Very nice, very crisp, no drag. Now double action feels like about maybe 7 to 8 pounds, maybe a little bit lighter. So when it comes to trigger pull, Smith & Wesson definitely wins. But as for the single action, they both have a really nice trigger. For security measure, Taurus put on what they call a transfer bar here. And what that does is that you will not accidentally fire unless your finger is pulling it all the way. So that's one system that they have inside. And they have what they call a Taurus security system. And that's where you stick a key in there. I never use it. I don't even know where my key is right now. As you've seen it on the original picture, this actually came with a different grip. Taurus call it the ribbed grip, and it's supposed to be exclusive only for Taurus. And they say it's a ergonomic shock absorber, and it's a smaller grip with a bunch of rubber here. And they made a big deal out of it back when it first came out, and I thought I would really like it. But when I shot it, I didn't like it at all. So I changed it to a Hug's grip, and this grip is really nice. It's just perfect for my hand. I bought this scope mount from Midway. I think I paid $45 for it. And this is made by Taurus. It's a very hefty, nice scope, and it mounts right onto the ribs of the barrel. And it adds little weight, but it's very sturdy. I like it. And I used to have a longer handgun scope by Simmons, but it was just way too long. It was too bulky for me to carry. And the gunpowder from the ported barrel would hit the scope and get it all dirty. So I switched it to Bushnell. This is red dot scope. And Amazon had a really good deal on it. They were selling it for like under $50. I think I pay like 49 or 46, something there. And even at Midways and like Sportsman's Guide, they were selling it for $80 or $90. So that was a pretty good deal. And I was pretty surprised this was actually holding up to the Magnum calibers. And I think the ported barrel reducing the recoil also helps as well. MSRP on this handgun is $709, but I seen Buzz Gun Shop selling it for $425, and they really do have a best price on this handgun. And I think I paid less than $400 for this, around $370 somewhere there. That was like 7 years ago. And with the scope mount and the scope, I probably spent close to $500 for the whole setup. If you ask me what was the selling point for me on the tracker, was the first factor was that this was in 6.5-inch barrel. I read it somewhere that to get the best performance out of your handgun, minimum should be 5 inches. Now, and preferably 6+ inches. Now, this being in 6.5-inch barrel gave me the confidence of accuracy, and also it wasn't too big for me to carry. It was just about perfect size for me to carry in the woods. And having a ported barrel was definitely another factor. And being a 7-shooter was definitely another factor too. And lastly, it was the price. I mean, stainless and all this was for less than $400. And I just couldn't pass it up. And so far, I had it for probably 7-8 years now, and I am very happy with it. Because Virginia does not have separate season for handgun, I carry it as a sidekick. And because of that, I bought a Uncle Mike's Sidekick Holster. And what I did was I cut the top open so I could fit the scope in it. And this actually works really well for me. Now, the reason I cut it all the way to the front is that before I used to have a bigger scope. Because handgun barrels don't get hot as rifles, I don't mind taking 3 consecutive shots. Now let's hit the range and see what she can do. Okay, for 357 Magnum, I'm going to be using the ammunition from Georgia Arms. It's 158 grain, spirit bonded hollow point. The speed is 1250 feet per second. And this is what it looks like. And what they're telling us is that when that hits the deer, that expands to the size of 50 caliber. And I've shot deers with this, and they do work quite well.
It's on my FAL, when you're signing it in, you turn it down to where it just nothing.
There's Taurus with the red dot scope at 25 yards. Oh wow, my 3-shot group, my first 3-shot group. And as you can see, there's a little bit less than a 1/2-inch group. And honestly, I think this is my best group so far. And when I have my perfect 3-shot group, I stop shooting because I want to keep that confidence in me. Even though this is great and very capable for deer hunting, and I have my shares of very successful hunts, I would not shoot a deer beyond 40 yards or shoot at a big mature buck. Not that I think this isn't capable. I personally do not want to take a chance of not finding it. And lastly, like always, thank God for what you have, enjoy your life with what you got, but mostly stay safe. See ya.